Get access to exclusive videos and more, and support the channel on patreon.com/manlightfoot.
Okay.
My subscribers are so funny sometimes. Some premium choices for movies they could have gone with, and Hoodwinked is the one they crave the most. To be fair, the other options already came and went, and people have said their pieces on it. I probably would just say something similar about these movies as everybody else, so there's not really much I probably could have added to it, and I think my subscribers were smart enough to know, yeah, there's not much new to be said. And plus, my subscribers definitely had some type of history with Hoodwinked like I do. As well, it's the 20th anniversary of this movie this month, which is the only reason I even have it as an option in the first place. But it's not like I'm watching this movie begrudgingly. I actually had this on DVD when I was a kid, which just hit me was 20 years ago. Where did our innocence go, man?
We're just innocent, man.
I remember watching it with my sisters and cousins, and I mainly associate that memory with distinguishing the difference between having the Munchies and the Munchos chips, which apparently I gaslit myself into thinking were called Munchies.
Okay.
Look, I was a weird kid, which made a fitting audience for a fairly weird movie. It's definitely a film that sort of came out of nowhere in '06, but somehow it sustained a good following, not to mention all the memes people got from it. This wasn't something that could compete with Disney or DreamWorks, but it stands on its own with its goofy humor and off-kilter way it carries itself, not to mention the fact that it doesn't look like any Disney or DreamWorks movie you've seen. But that's honestly what made us want to see it at the time. Awooga! It's not lost on me this movie also uses fairy tales and puts a different spin on them. You know, just like Disney and DreamWorks at the time. But what made it stand out was that it felt like a good in-between of those two, where Disney gave a softer take on the grim fairy tales and DreamWorks have a harsher take on Disney's take. Hoodwinked said,
"We're gonna have fun. Fun, fun, fun."
They did their own thing that just plays with the fairy tale characters like how a kid would. Just as well, some of the celebrity voices were a bit of a draw. They basically got Kronk playing a wolf detective. Your arguments are beyond invalid against this movie. Well, except in one place, but we'll get to that. So what's this film all about, all two of you might be wondering? This story is about the evil Goody Bandit, who's been stealing candy recipes from candy shops all over the forest. Four fairy tale figures of Little Red Riding Hood, her grandma, the Big Bad Wolf, and the Woodsman all have a chance encounter that leads Detective Nicky Flippers. I'm not gonna get through this video with these niggas' names, man. To try to find these people's connections to the mysterious bandit. It's not a hard mystery since the most off character of Boingo is obviously the bandit. Literally clocked it as a kid when we got to Grandma's part of the story. But predictability doesn't make something bad around these parts. It's more about what you do with your story, characters, animation, and humor. And I think Hoodwinked managed to get 3 out of 4 of those things just right. It's a typical same story from different perspectives plot. It's just with a fairy tale spin on it that gives a little more to these legacy characters. You get a little bit more from them having extra about their stories. Red and her grandma having tensions get you into their story, since Little Red Riding Hood adaptations or parodies don't even really explore her relationship to her grandma that much. At least at the time.
You're being ridiculous, Red.
I'm being ridiculous? You're off living La Vida Loca, risking your life for some dumb thrills, and I'm supposed to stay home and be your happy little delivery girl?
Red does have a right to be annoyed with her grandma for living a double life, especially when she was made to believe she had to stay restricted to the forest just for family legacy and tradition. But at the same time, you understood the grandma also wanted to break away from those traditions and wanted to live her own life too. It's just she should have extended that out to Red to say, hey, you can keep the tradition, but you can also be yourself.
But
It's just one of those things where the young and the old needed to come together on this one and communicate much better. And I think Hoodwinked overall does handle that story pretty well, even if it's a more exaggerated and extreme way of doing it. It's not overly complex, but it gets the job done to get you into their problem. The same goes for the wolf. A Patrick Warburton smart aleck hits just right for this movie.
You put that away. It's covert, no flash.
Undercover, got it. Yeah, nobody sees, nobody knows.
Can't sit here and listen to you goofy niggas anymore!
He's just a guy trying to do his job, but he's not aware of himself to know why a little girl would be jumpy at a wolf stalking her.
Hand over the basket.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
but you get he's just investigating with his assistant Twitchy, who's honestly the best character in the movie. I love this little nigga, man. He's just a guy who's misunderstood. Literally, nobody can understand a word this dude is saying just cause he's too fast. And you would think his fast talking gimmick would get tired, but no, they use him just right. He's not in the movie too much, so it's hard to get annoyed with him. Plus, you feel bad cause he's fairly good at his job, it's just no one gets him or even understands a word he's saying. Not even his boss.
I was watching the girl like you told me to, the girl in the red hood.
Yeah, the girl in the red hood. Did you see where she went?
She went past the porcupines and the redbird tree and the guy with the long beard, and now she's up the creek and she sings everywhere she goes. She's like, la 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 la.
Yeah, I'm way ahead of you.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same.
Twitchy is my spirit animal, and I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. The Woodsman is neat. All these years later, and I still don't have much of an opinion on this nigga. He's a cool character and works for the story, but he doesn't really leave much of an impression to me other than the foreign character. That's just something a lot of these characters of those times were just known as. Hell, they removed the dude in the second movie. So yeah, it's not like I'm that attached to homie. He gets the job done for the movie at least. The side characters add to the fun of the film by just being so off. Nobody can forget the X to the Z Zibbit Bear police chief or the greatest of all time Japet the Goat.
What?
I was prepared!
Talented, brilliant, incredible.
Be Prepared was on repeat in my brain for a minute in 6th grade. Many a math test was barely passed that year. Shout out to Ms. Donovan. You gotta bring up Boingo. Just the most obvious villain right down to the actor playing him, Andy Dick. This nigga was the reason Phil Hartman died.
Say what?
But we're talking about a bunny here. He's just the right amount of crazy that makes him memorable. He may have been predictable as the mystery villain, but you don't care because he's so over the top in the right way.
I just love my job.
I like him. He's silly.
It's fuck Andy Dick out here, but he played the part. Honestly, all these characters leave a decent impact for a low-budget January film. They may have simple story arcs, but their personalities have enough charm to carry the movie. And now the elephants in the room, the animation.
Oh God, no!
It smooth looks like a PS1 game cutscene. Just a perfect example of working on a budget made of a ham sandwich and dreams. It has this uncanny movement that can usually be accredited to amateur animation. Sorry to be harsh, but look man, it looks rough. Though there's a silver lining to it. D'Angelo, Tariq, and I went over the whole movie over on my Patreon, which you can access the full watch along and more for $1 by the way.
I don't think it had a game.
Oh, weird. You made all that money and you make no game?
I mean, they probably weren't anticipating it being a hit. It released in January. And we agree the biggest problem with the animation is more with the movement. It looks cinematic with the lighting and maybe another pass of rendering wouldn't have hurt it. But it's this uncanny movement the characters do that makes you feel like you beat a video game back in the 2000s. Which is funny when you remember that Jimmy Neutron came out just a few years earlier and still holds up. But
To be fair,
this was the first independently funded computer animated movie by the unknown studio at the time, Canabar, when it first dropped. So for what they were able to get made on their shoe-aglet budget, it's not terrible. Plus, it's a movie where the jokes are pretty funny in spite of the off animation. It's been memed to hell and back, and rightfully so. I quoted this movie back when I was a kid just like everyone else, but sadly my school wasn't cool like that, so I just sounded like the weirdo.
Oh, I made myself sad.
It knew how to be a crowd pleaser without going too dumb or too lowbrow to keep our attention when we watched it as kids. Overall, Hoodwinked still holds up 20 years later. Its characters have enough to them that you get into their stories. The same story from different perspective angles works to add a nice flair to the movie. The humor is funny and still quotable. The animation is obviously the roughest part of the film though. Hell, I almost forgot to mention the horrifying German children. God, those faces are gonna haunt my nightmares. Rewatching this definitely reawakens some traumas. While the animation is rough in the movement and some designs should have been taken back to the drawing board, it still tries to be cinematic with its use of lighting, or even usage of the camera in certain angles. They try to make sure this looks like a movie and feels like a movie. Even the music was a surprising highlight of this film. It was the first time I heard Todd Edwards.
Who the fuck is this?
Then I probably didn't hear him again until Daft Punk's Ram album some years later. Oops. But he and his brother Corey and the rest of the crew made this movie work. Hoodwinked feels like the little engine that could, but for indie animated films. It left an impact that helped set the stage for indie animated projects later on, as well as connect with its audience in a genuine way that gets us to talk about it so long after. Hell, even the most recent thing to happen with this film is the fandom uncovered the original audio of Hoodwinked with the original voice cast. Which is crazy to think there's enough fans for Hoodwinked out there that still finds joy in this film, even to the point of finding and discovering such lost media of it. You can still find joy in something, even if time is humbling you. Hoodwinked may not have been Disney or DreamWorks level of animation, but it sits nicely in that in-between spot for those that wanted something different. It's a film that knew what it was and wasn't ashamed to be itself. Hoodwinked is a mystery that's definitely worth solving.